Rand, ready? I'm gonna call this Jamestown City Council work session to order, our first meeting of 2025. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Sheldon?
Here.
Brackman? Here. Paternity?
Here.
Reynolds?
Present.
Faulkner?
Here.
Bonfiglio?
Here.
DeVersa?
Here.
Russell?
Here.
And President Bowles?
Here. Thank you. At this time, we'll give opportunities for anybody to speak to the council or address the council. If there's someone who would like to address the full council tonight, please state your name and address and limit your remarks to 5 minutes. If anybody wants to speak.
You wanna say anything, now's the time, Jimmy. You're just watching.
I'm just here to learn.
Okay,
Perfect.
thank you. All right. I don't see anybody else, so we'll move on to housing. Go ahead, Bill, you wanna do that?
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing specific on the agenda, so we had some general discussion on a couple of items. Crystal brought us up to speed on the EPA grant that we talked about last month, that it's in play, and that part of the program, there's a quality assurance project plan that needs to be put together. She's identified nine of the 19A homes that may fit this model, and also mentioned that New York State's gonna be involved through SHPO with doing their environmental review, and working with CRIC to see what homes could be put back on the market ASAP when some of that gets done. It all has to do with the statewide initiative for electrification goals that they've put in place. She added that they did not hire a 19A coordinator, that they're handling it in-house on that. So look for more information out of her office as the EPA grant starts to gel and become a working progress. We asked about the homeless, if there's been issues or reports regarding code blue circumstances or situations, and on the coldest of nights, we have not had an issue. Apparently everybody's opening their doors and bringing people in to help take care of them. The shelter's got a potential to house 35 people, and on the coldest of nights, she's been told that they've not been maxed out. So not hearing any horrible stories about people getting caught in a very unhealthy or hazardous circumstance. The shelters seem to be working and taking care of the homeless in that regard. Another thing that came up for some of the condemned properties, there's been quite a bit of trespassing, not necessarily all homeless people as we've discovered, but people taking advantage of vacant properties, either vandalizing or building meth labs or using drugs there. And JPD's been involved in some of those calls, but it's urban mining is the new terminology that's surfacing throughout middle America or across the country, that these vacant properties house copper, air conditioners, metal, marble, so there's actually some folks breaking into these places and actually trying to gain a financial resource. The land bank's putting together a list of demos forthcoming through an updated report. Several of them are in progress. We don't have an actual number, but we'll hear more about that next month. The rental inspection that's on the books is in place. Crystal added that the county lead investigation, or the lead inspection team who are moving into City Hall here, will play a part in helping helping identify some of these concerns without being redundant in what our rental inspection already mandates. And then Councilman Paternini offered that the Planning Commission is working pretty hard in getting some information about some housing initiatives, and we'll hopefully have them here in our first work session in February for an update what they're proposing to the planning commission. I miss anything, Crystal?
No, I think you covered everything.
I appreciate that. It was a lot of discussion. I appreciate everybody that offered their comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Housing, if not, Brent, finance?
Thank you, Mr. President. We have two resolutions on our agenda. The first is to suspend the hiring freeze and hire 5 police officers for the Jamestown Police Department. This should bring us up to 62 officers, if I'm correct. And that was approved by Finance Committee. The next was to suspend the hiring freeze and hire 1 court security officer for the Jamestown Police Department. That was approved as well. And the comptroller, about the 2023 audit, she said it's almost complete. The auditor's director, Malecki, will be presenting the results to the full council in the near future. And that's all we have for finance.
Any questions? Finance? Move on to public safety, Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. President. We have the two same resolutions that Finance had for the hiring of the 5 police officers at the Jamestown Police Department. We did have a discussion with Chief Jackson about that he would like to get these officers hired and begin their training by the end of February. If that doesn't happen, then he would run the risk of losing those potential candidates to other agencies, and it would make things much more difficult for him. So we obviously passed that resolution. His concern, and he can expand on it if he wants, his concern was that if we do hire them right away, obviously they're still in the academy right now. So we would have to begin to pay those 5 officers, and if those officers got hurt during training, then it could potentially become a 207C issue. This isn't anything that we've done this in the past with other officers, hired them while they're in the academy. But I think, I'll say this from a personal standpoint, the numbers that these officers are operating on right now, in my personal and professional opinion, are not safe. So these 5 officers are needed ASAP. So we supported that, and that resolution passed. Obviously, the second, Chief, did you want to add anything?
No, that sums it up well.
Okay. This second resolution was the hiring of the 1 court security officer at Jamestown Police Department. Obviously, that court security officer is paid, the salary is paid through the state, so there's no cost to the city that I'm aware of. That is a full-time position with the courts, and that resolution passed. We also had a public event of the coldest night of the year that's going to take place on Saturday, February 22nd, 2025. Coldest night of the year is a winterific, family-friendly walk in support of YWCA Jamestown, which serves people experiencing hunger and homelessness, it says on their website. There's going to be some music down there, and there's also a run walk scheduled, and all the paperwork was in order for that, and that passed. And then Mr. Paganini brought up some poles that he was interested in getting lights put on, or one of them on Norton Avenue. And Bill also brought up a possible light that he would like to see on Glenview Avenue. What was the intersection, Glenview and?
West Virginia.
Okay, yeah. So, one thing I did forget was Mr. Shanahan, who's in the back of the room, did speak in the beginning. Mr. Shanahan's a excellent local musician that has been around a long time, phenomenal on the harmonica, and travels around the city a lot, and voiced some concerns to us about he often does not feel safe in the city anymore. Particularly, he mentioned Pendergast Avenue, and also in the square, he brought to our attention that there seems to be an overabundance of panhandling going on, and also people approaching him, asking him for money and cigarettes and other items, and it just makes him feel generally unsafe. And he's seen a great rise or an uptick in this type of behavior, and he just wanted to voice his concerns to the council. So, is there anything you'd like to add, Mr. Shanahan?
No, thank you.
Yes. So,
Rate cards.
oh, and then we had 5 tour rate cards that were presented to us that all passed. So,
Intersection too.
oh, yes, most important. So, Mr. Paterniti had brought up about the intersection, and I know I talked to Mark about it at Purcell School. There was that guide rail that was removed in the lawn of Purcell School during the whole process of redoing the roadway up there. I had a conversation with Mark about that. Mark said that he felt, in his professional opinion, that the guide rail didn't have to be replaced due to the new design of the roadway. I respectfully disagreed with him, and Joe has concerns about it as well. I know it's costly to replace that, well over in the excess of $10,000. But on January 4th in the early morning hours, exactly what I thought would happen happened. A vehicle went down through the intersection, didn't go right, didn't go left, went up through the lawn of the school, hit a street sign and knocked that down, and that had to be replaced. A lot of it was due to inclement weather and obviously speed not reasonable and prudent for the conditions. But it just goes to show what I said my concern is that this is going to happen, and we were lucky that it happened in the early morning hours, and there was no students there, obviously. But if something like this happened during school hours with kids out front, we could have some kids seriously injured or killed, and we need to take a second look at putting that guide rail back up there. I'd like to have a conversation, or maybe have the mayor have a conversation with the superintendent, because I know he's graciously in the past mentioned there's a possibility that the school could pitch in some funds. Maybe this could be a joint venture between the city and the school district, kind of like the sidewalk plows, and maybe we could get this done for the safety of our children. And that was it.
Randy, anything for
Yeah.
public works?
Thank you, Mr. President. We did not have any resolutions in our committee tonight, but we did discuss a few things. We talked about the people in the room about the snow removal this winter thus far by the city DPW, and pretty much heard a lot of good things. Yeah, I mean, now and then you hear a little grumbling, but overall it's been a positive review so far. And that's one thing. Another thing is the brine tank we talked about is up and running, and the new brine tank down there on Steel Street. And there's 2 trucks that are outfitted now to dispense liquid de-icing for brine, and there's expected to be more upcoming soon. They're waiting for some parts to outfit more trucks. Another thing is, as far as we're interviewing for mechanics, and Mark has said they've got some decent prospects for a mechanic down in the garage on Washington Street. But so, and those were about all that we had discussed.
Any questions, comments? Anything else from the council?
Positive things I hope to set up the new year. The new park signs, I know I commented on them earlier for the park in my ward, Southbridge, but I've also noticed that Nordstrom, Roseland, Bergman, they're just, you gotta tell the parks guys, Mark, whoever's putting those signs out, they're very attractive, and people have commented on them, so that's a plus. And secondly, you know, I asked to have the sidewalk plows expand their region in the downtown area. I had a discussion with Mark on that, and just today, I had two businesses actually track me down and say, thanks for doing the sidewalks, instead of them doing them themselves. They went as far as 7th or 8th Street, I think. So it's great that they responded to get the sidewalks taken care of, rather than 4x4s with little plows on them, or old guys with shovels. And then Happy New Year to everyone. So let's do well in 2025.
Okay, move on.
I really do not have anything other than I want to take this opportunity to welcome, she is not here, but on behalf of Crystal, we do have an economic development coordinator that started. Her name is Ailey Maku. So you guys can spell that, but she's been here 2 days and is working out very well and very excited, so I look forward to that.
Out of your office, Crystal?
Yeah.
Was it Ivy?
Ailey.
Ivy.
And that's it for me.
Anything for executive session?
No,
Nothing?
Elliot is not back. His flight was delayed, so.
All right, nothing else, I guess we'll, just to kind of reiterate, next week we do have another work session. Then we're off the 20th for the holiday, and then our voting session will be the 27th. That's the agenda and schedule for January, so if anybody else, stay warm, it's gonna be a cold week, and keep blowing the snow and shoveling the snow, and we're getting there. Just to think, in a few months, we'll be sweating again. So.
Keep your cats and dogs inside.